All right, well, last week we broke down the history of the Capitol cannon. You may remember that. The 1845 model Seacoast gun that was donated and mounted on the Southwest lawn in 1910. It was kind of like a game of two truths and a lie, since there was a lot about the cannon that was either misunderstood or just all out wrong. For example, for years the cannon was said to be a model 1840, but it's actually a model 1845, which is an important distinction for Seacoast gun aficionados. There's also a plaque on the side of the cannon that claims it was used in the 1863 siege of Vicksburg, Mississippi during the Civil War. However, Idaho's Department of Administration, who is in charge of the Capitol grounds, told us the cannon is certainly from the Civil War era, and it did spend some time in Vicksburg, but the cannon's combat service record could not be confirmed. It claims to have been donated by Senator William Borah and State Treasurer C.A. Hastings. However, the level of Hastings' involvement, somewhat debatable, according to those in charge. Then there was the reason for the barrel being filled with concrete. This, however, was another point of contention where I admit I kind of missed the point on this one. I asked the Capitol curator with the Idaho State Historical Society about the rumors of it being, quote, unofficially fired off at times over the years. There were two stories from the 30s and 40s when it was packed with gunpowder and debris and then fired, doing damage to nearby buildings and cars. Then there was another story about the barrel being used as a drop point for bootleggers during Prohibition. And on a hot day outside, well, it overheated and the bottle inside exploded. Well, the curator told us that story couldn't be proven. But I kind of understood her to mean that none of those stories could be proven. So my mistake. It turns out there was some archival evidence to the former.
March 6, 1932, the Sunday morning edition of the Idaho Statesman declared a blast from State House cannon wakens drowsy Boise residents. Old U.S. number 79, they wrote, came to life at 11:36 Saturday night and treated Boise to the biggest noise the capital city has heard in many a day. Who loaded the old gun or why could not be learned that night by police. But they did discover the cannon had been charged with a stick of black powder, which apparently had enough kick to send debris clear to Jefferson Street. Then the next day, March 7th, students suspected, the Statesman said. The update, Boise High students, jubilant over the school's big basketball win over Caldwell in the district tournament, were believed to have put that black powder in the cannon. Because many believe the occasion deserves some sort of celebration, so long as no damage was done. About that, there just happened to be a man getting into his car, which happened to be parked in a direct line with the cannon's gaping mouth. The man heard the blast, and then his car was hit with a mass of sticks, stones, broken glass, and other debris. He told police, "The next time I go to the theater, I'll not park my car in front of a cannon." Then on May 23, 1946, speculating if it was the opening of someone's political campaign, pranksters set off State House cannon. Boise police said 6 or 7 kids put black powder in the cannon and touched off an explosion that shook the State House and Hotel Boise windows. No damage done. But again, a debris field of rocks, sticks, and bottles sprayed across the Capitol lawn. So there are your two corrected truths about the exploding Capitol cannon.
Okay, so as for the remaining mystery, whether during Prohibition in the 20s that bottle of hooch hidden in the barrel burst because the cast iron heated up on a very hot day, that still unconfirmed. Then again, who would have owned up to it back then, right? Regardless, to prevent it from being packed with more black powder, grounds crew packed it with concrete sometime in the 50s. Thank you to historian Rick Just for helping us set the record straight.